What's up, AP Micro B-Day? I'm going to take you through price elasticity of demand and supply. Follow along with what I'm writing. I will talk it over and you'll understand and everything will be all peachy and dandy. My phone is hanging up, so this is how I'm doing this. Let's begin. Okay, so let's first start off with what is elasticity. Elasticity is how responsive something is. Now, that means how much is going to respond to quantity changing. Probably could have said that underneath my little headset, I guess I could call it. So responsive is is pretty much what elasticity is. How much is going to change to the price, how much quantity demanded or supplied is going to change to the price, in this case, in scenario. Okay, so in quantity, in the demanded and in the supplied, you have the same sort of graph here. Perfectly inelastic, perfectly elastic, relatively, or not relatively, unit elastic, relatively inelastic, relatively inelastic, relatively elastic, relatively elastic. I'm coming up to make sure this is all in the camera view. Okay. So that's what you have. Relatively inelastic, relatively elastic, relatively inelastic, relatively elastic. Okay, so let's begin with the equations. So the equation is elasticity equals the percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. And you're asking yourself, what is it in supply? Well, allow me to show you a little trick I like to call switching one single letter. The D to an S, baby. D to an S. You gotta love it. All right. Now that you got that, let me go through some scenarios with you. I'm going to look for my calculator. Should have prepared for this. This is really embarrassing. Come on, son. ¿Dónde estás mis calculator? Aha. It was up right here. I forgot. All right. So let's begin. So we're going to first go through some scenarios for price elasticity of demand. Let's say the price of something, sneakers, is going to go from $20 and it's going to go up to $25, which would be a 20% increase. And the quantity demanded is going to go from 10 down to 8, which is going to be a 20% as well. I think this one is actually 25% though. So sorry, price is 25%, this is 20%, this is going down 20%, this is going up 25%. And this is going to actually explain why price elasticity of demand is always negative. So in the equation, it'll be 0.2 over 0.25, which equals, I did a lot earlier, a lot of mess up tapes with the whiteboard, and I figured this would be the best method. So 0.8, which means it is relatively inelastic. Relatively inelastic, and on the graph, it is going to fall somewhere up here. It's going to be somewhere up here in the graph, over here. Pretty up and down. So I'm also going to take you through total revenue. So let's go through total revenue when something is relatively inelastic. So 20 times 10 equals 200. That is the equation for total revenue. The equation is total revenue equals price times quantity, or quantity times price, however you like to look at it. Now let's go 25 times 8. So 20 times 2 we know is 200. Now 25 times 8 is also 200. Not a very good example, but it is still an example. Total revenue is not changing that much. It is inelastic, and well, what an inelastic good means is that the price change doesn't affect the quantity demanded too much, and that equation actually proves that because it is saying the revenue is not being changed that much, meaning it's pretty inelastic. So now let's go through another scenario. Let's say the price is going from, I don't know, 20 up to, or let's go down this time, down to 16, which would equal 25% is going down 25%. So let's go 0.25. And the quantity demanded is going to go from 100, not 100, let's go 10 to 30, which is 300%. So 3 over 0.25, 12. On the graph, it is relatively elastic. It's going to be somewhere over here. It's going to look like this, and it means there are substitutes for this. It is highly affected by the price. It is very responsive. It is elastic. So let's go over this with total revenue. So pretty common here. $200 is total revenue you're gaining, 20 times 10 for the first price and quantity. Now, let's go 16 times 30. 16 times 30 equals 480. So in this scenario, since the price is dropping, the total revenue is going up because the quantity demanded is increasing so much. So that tells you that in inelastic markets, if the price goes up and the quantity demanded, you know, if there's not that much of a difference, your total revenue is going to be around the same area. However, in an elastic object, if the price were to go up and the quantity demanded were to go down by a ton, total revenue is going to drop a ton. If the price were to go down, like in this scenario, and the quantity demanded is going to go up by a ton, then the total revenue is going to go up by a lot. And that makes a lot of sense if you know what responsive means, if you know what elasticity means, which is what I'm hoping I'm teaching you right now. So I feel like you guys maybe have got this better over here. So we're going to go over to the side of supply. Now, same exact equation, right? Same exact one. So let's say the price is going to increase from $10 to $15, which would equal a 50% increase in price. And let's say the quantity demanded is going to go from 20 up to 22. 22 divided by 20, or I should have done 20 divided by 22. That's not a very good example. I'm going to go 20 to 24, which is going to be a, oh my gosh, can I do this the right way? 0.2. It's going to be a 20% increase. I'm like failing right now. Sorry, guys. And I accidentally said quantity demanded there. Another silly mistake. Quantity supplied. And the only reason I made that mistake, this is going to help you actually learn the equations, is because the only thing you're switching out is one letter. So it's so easy. It's so easy. It's could be lemons. I don't know. That was a bad reference. So this is 20%, which equals 0.2, 0.5. 0.2 over 0.5. 0.2 divided by 0.5 is 0.4, which means it is 0.4. It is relatively inelastic for supply. It's going to look something like this. Now, let's look at this. What does inelasticity mean for the total revenue when you're looking at a supply? So 10 times 20, as we all know, equals 200. And 15 times 24 equals 360. So when it's inelastic, this tells you that if it's going up, if the price is going up, quantity supplied is going up, total revenue is always going to increase. TR always goes up. But if they're both going down, which is what's going to happen, total revenue is always going down. Simple as that for when it's inelastic. So now let's look at it for elastic. So price is going to go from, let's say, 20 to 24, which is 0.2, 20%. When it goes up, well, let's go down this time. When it goes down 20%, the quantity is going to go from 100 down to 25. You can tell this is already elastic just based off those numbers, you know? Based off the percentages, you should be able to tell. So 25 would be a, geez, I don't know. or 100 divided by 25. Pretty sure that is a 400% decrease. That's what I was going for. I was going for a big decrease because it's very elastic. So 4 over 0.2 equals 20. Very elastic, relatively elastic for supply. Now let's look at total revenue. So once again, 20 times 100 equals 200, but 24 times 25 equals 600. Oh, and I messed up. 20 times 100 is actually 2,000. That's why this it looked wrong there for a second, and I was confused that I didn't know the concept at all, but I do know the concept. I'm just bad at math, apparently. So in the first example, you're making 2,000. Second example, you're making 600. So total revenue, if it's very elastic and the price you're getting for supplying it is going down, total revenue is going to go down a ton. In this scenario, you're getting 2,000. You're going from 2,000 to $600, right? That's not a lot. And I hope you can see all this, and I'll check the video after. So total revenue will go up when the price increases and the quantity supplied goes up by a ton, because that's just how they just work in the same direction for supply. However, they do not do this for demand. It just depends on the scenario. So, oh man, I'm just gonna have to flip it. I don't know if this is on my face or not, but that is elasticity of price for demand and supply. I hope you learned something. Peace out.